Hey friends, all of our UFC 211 coverage is brought to you by Fierce Supply. Please go to fiercesupply.com, check their stuff out. They have been very good to us and helped us come here and do this coverage. So if you support us, please support Fierce Supply. This man right here, this is Alex Cooper, Stipe Miocic's boxing coach. How you doing, Coach?
Not too bad, hanging in there, having a good time.
Yeah. So you've been working mitts with Stipe now, going on years.
Yeah, it's about 3 years now. His last 5 fights.
And as an athlete, it's probably pretty safe for me to say he learns and adapts kinesthetically faster than 95% of the people you've ever worked with.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
He picks up on things quickly. It's really amazing how he does it.
And what is? Do you think this is a physical thing? It's an awareness of his body. It's mental. Is it everything?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that he played so many sports growing up that nothing is foreign to him. So you tell him something, you maybe relate it to another sports movement. He kind of thinks about it for a second, and then boom, he's got it.
Amazing. So one of the things I love when I'm analyzing Stipe, and I'm a big fan of all the work you guys are doing with this athlete.
Appreciate that.
Is his change of direction, agility, the way he decelerates and then accelerates into a new direction. When you started working on that, is it football footwork, the references in his mind? How did you build on that?
Kind of what we like to do with him is give him things from all directions. I am like a sprinter around the cage when I'm catching pads for him. Nothing is standing in one place. We do nothing that resembles the Mayweather pad work. It's movement around. Sometimes I don't tell him what I want him to throw. I just move and throw up a pad. So it's really that reaction time. He generally, from playing baseball, from playing football, he has phenomenal hand-eye coordination. So that attribute just gives him a leg up on everybody. But just working from different angles, moving to the side, showing different stuff at him, he's just so naturally strong that if we keep the movement going, it's hard to get away from him.
When I tend to be analyzing the fighter, but I analyze the coach too as part of what I like to do. And as a mitt holder, even the couple times I've watched you with him, you're throwing things back at him
always.
A lot more than your typical mitt holder.
Yeah,
you're
always.
making him respond to your hand. And are those patterns that are created, or you're literally coming at him at any time?
Well, yeah, so no. Yes and no. I mean, one of the things, obviously I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but my arm span is that of a heavyweight arm span.
Yeah.
When we were training for the Arlovsky fight, I was literally the exact height and the exact reach of Arlovsky. So it was great. I would put on, like when we were done with sparring, as we were just trying to be healthy and get to the fight, I would put on little gloves and we'd sit in front of each other and I would throw hard stick jabs so we could see the spacing he would need to get away from me and where you need to be to counter over top of it. Took a few shots that I didn't really want to, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always keeping him. It's one thing to be offensive. He tends to be a stalking type of fighter, but you got to be ready for what's coming back. So we talk about it. I go, if you're gonna throw this, if I'm fighting you and I'm able to get out of the way of that, here's what's coming. So that he knows, all right, if I'm gonna throw this combination, I have to look out for this. And then throughout the mid-work, I might not tell him it's coming, but he knows that we've talked about it before, and so that way we can practice, both verbally and in practical.
When you think about the way that you look at fighting, coaching, building new ideas, would you describe yourself as a nerd?
Oh, big time.
Yeah?
I love film work.
Yeah.
I was doing it. We have, we treat, obviously his fight's a championship fight, but we have 22 fighters in the gym. We treat everyone like it's a championship fight. I was upstairs watching film work for our 2-1 pro, for our 3-1 pro, and for our 5-2 amateur.
Wow.
So that's, just had a little extra time in the room today. I love watching film. I mean, I stay up late at night breaking things down. I try to put things in snippets for the guys so they don't have to watch the whole thing. I'm a little bit of a technology junkie too, so
cool.
I've learned to cut the film up so they can just look, here's this, here's this, here's this, see it a few times and go. We don't like them to dwell on the film.
Right.
Let us take care of that. We'll show you a few little things to look for, but we don't need them to be digging into the film work.
And each fighter is different, I'm sure. Some of them can handle more of that and can use it in more valuable ways. Other guys, we've seen, I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times in your life, where a guy will be so prepared for that guy's overhand right that he ends up getting knocked out by that guy's overhand right.
Exactly.
It's almost like it teaches him to be there in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nice part about our gym. Every fighter, including Stipe, is round up kind of guys. We've had them since their first amateur fight. So you're right, we learn that. Some guys, we don't say a thing to. We know, we've watched the film, and we just train them the stuff we want to see, but we don't tell them that we've watched film. This guy comes with a big overhand right.
You just
I just happen to throw it a bunch of
Yeah.
times every time I'm in with the pads, and we sort of trick them into doing the right stuff. Other guys love it. We have a guy that's 7-0. We're really hoping he gets a shot in the UFC soon. He's a film junkie. I mean, he actually is going to get his doctorate from Case Western Reserve. So he's a very intellectual individual as well. So he likes to watch a film. So we'll do it together. Me, him, and Marcus will sit down and we'll watch the films together and break it down. And he enjoys it.
Yeah, I love it, man. You get into a really, you can go so deep and keep peeling back so many layers the more that you internalize the understanding of what you're seeing, which is what you've been doing your whole life as a coach. And how did you, I mean, you seem like a pretty young man.
Yeah, I'm actually 10 months younger than Stipe.
Yeah, like how were you able to get yourself to the level of coach? Because it's one thing to understand it, it's one thing to analyze it, my job is to describe what we see for the audience. That's not a very dangerous job, and the consequences of me failing are not all that high. Whereas you're going to put your athlete into a cage, it's a much higher responsibility. How were you able to kind of go from somebody who loved watching tape to somebody capable of physically training these people?
So, I mean, one of the things that, and I still believe this, that you can never stop learning. I mean, from the day that I got into boxing.
When was that?
Right when I graduated college. I played lacrosse in college. I did some very light boxing in college. Been a fan of the sport my entire life. But when I got out of college, I found a gym. Didn't have a lot of money. Me and a buddy trained each other, basically. We pulled the coffee table out of the way in our apartment, and I learned how to catch mitts.
Wow.
And so a lot of it comes down to that 10,000 hours thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I spent ungodly amounts of hours, and I really became a sponge. There's a few coaches in Cleveland, Joe Delguide, some other guys that I basically was like, I'm a mold me. I want to learn from you. And they've taught me so many things, and they continue to teach me, and I'm a student of the game. I love to watch it. There's very rarely that there's a fight card on that I don't have the prelims DVR'd, and I'll watch it over and over again. And you learn. And I mean, I still train. I have two 13-year-olds that I train, amateur boxers.
Cool.
I'm an assistant trainer on a few professional boxers. I train a couple amateur boxers, and then I'm the striking coach for
the UFC Heavyweight champion.
Yeah, so
that's so great, man.
It's every day. I mean, if he's out of town, I don't go home. I mean, I'm at the gym training other guys and getting our next generation of guys coming up.
You can't do something like that if you're not obsessed. This is not possible. You can't ask somebody to go and put 10,000 hours into something they don't like. Why are you obsessed with boxing?
I just love it. I think it's the most technical sport there is, and there's something about the mano y mano. There's no... Football's a great sport. I love football, but you do something wrong, you can blame it on the other guy. In there, in that cage, in that ring, it's just you. It's just you, and there's something about helping that guy. I've always had an infatuation with fighters. If you have the balls to step into that cage or step into that ring, I want you to make sure you got somebody that's got your back, and I got your back.
That's amazing.
Like that's the one thing anybody I've worked with you can always talk to. They say, I don't ever half-ass anything. I got your back.
That's spectacular.
I'm your eyes, your ears, and I know to the best of my ability what you got standing across from you.
Wow, that's awesome. You're talking about kind of that mano a mano. There's a million cliches, right, in boxing, and lots of them are bullshit, right? You know what my favorite one is? The moment of truth. Because think of what that's actually saying. In this moment, the truth will be exposed or presented or discovered. Isn't that a killer? Like, just what that really means. And there's that moment in a fight. I was talking to a friend earlier, and about the fact that somewhere in our job of presenting fighting, I think we failed to let people see the scarcity and the preciousness of that moment in time where you take athletes who've dedicated their lives to developing these skills and ability to perform at this level, and we're going to bring them together right now here for us all to see half naked. Like, we've done a piss poor job of letting people see how precious that is. So to the point that people after go, it was kind of a lackluster card, not a lot of finishes, I didn't like it. Are you out of your fucking mind? These are the greatest athletes in the world who have dedicated their lives to this moment. And so I feel like I know you now, and we're on the same planet, and there's not a lot of us on that planet, but I can honestly say that there are very few fights ever that I don't like.
I mean, people hated the Woodley Wonderboy fight.
Brilliant.
I loved every second of
that fight.
The spacing that was done. I mean, a lot of what we work on is timing and spacing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there weren't a lot of exchanges because both of those men mastered the timing and the spacing.
Yep.
And it was beautiful to watch the footwork.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the leather wasn't exchanging to where your average fan would like, but
the manipulation of each other, it's so brilliant. But now, as we use that one as an example, that one's easy for us to understand where we failed the audience. Because if we spend a lot of effort celebrating the consequences, oh man, a title shot to the winner, or celebrating the dramatics, oh my God, did you see that knockout? Or celebrating, you know, the sideshow element of it, or oh, these guys really hate each other, or everything but that. We've taught the audience to dislike that, and it's our fault. That's why I used to like it all. I would never get wound up at the audience, but I get wound up at the media, because a guy who doesn't know anything about fighting will be talking about fighting and then will say that this fight sucked. You know what I mean? That stresses me out on some level. But what are you going to do, right? So I want to ask you about a few technical things with Stipe and what you're working on. I'm noticing now a lot of sort of a layer that's being added at high levels is sort of creating a path for your fighter's head to travel as you're going in, moving forward, exchanging and creating exchanges. How do you work on that? How do you create the right path for his head as he moves in and out?
I mean, a lot of it is what you spoke on before, is making sure stuff's coming back at him during footwork or during pad work. So that way he knows, all right, you know, when we call out a combination, especially when it's a new combination, there's no such thing as a new combination, but something new that we're working on, I want to show him every counter from every spot. All right, if you throw this and I slip it this way, here's what's coming.
Right.
If I come this way, here's what's coming.
So we've almost taught him through the process of elimination, you're getting hit in all these places, so we're going to eventually teach you, touching a hot element, where the natural safe path for your head to travel is.
And he'll be the first to tell you, if he leaves his head in the middle, my pad's coming. I've smacked him with my pad numerous times. It's dangerous because I don't know. Then the stuff coming back at me is a lot harder because he's pissed off at me, but, you know, in a good way. But you know, you got to do it.
You gotta. That's what you're there for. That's having his back.
Exactly. So anytime I see that head where I don't want it, because I used to box, I can see it when he's there. And we're going back, I'll pop him, right? You know, with the right hand, with the jab, whatever it is. Now, 99.9% of the time, he gets out of the way, but every once in a while, he feels it, and then he goes, yep, you're right. And he'll get off the side, get the angle, stay the distance a little bit outside, more in that kickboxing type range.
So another attribute I want to ask you about, and so you mentioned that your athlete, because he's been so good and exposed to so many different kinds of movement and sort of physical expressions and stuff, and he really likes baseball, right? He likes football and baseball, but what's his big one?
I mean, he played baseball for a long time.
And he's throwing out the first pitch tonight.
Yeah, tonight at the Rangers game,
Yeah, so a hitter who's training his whole life will see that ball. They won't see the path of the ball. There'll be little subtle cues that their brains have internalized exactly what that may mean and how to make this slight reaction in their body with the timing to hit that thing. But at the same time as that's happening, it almost creates the scenario at which they may actually see time slightly different than we do in that moment. Do you agree?
Always, yes. And you can tell when a fighter finds the timing. You can always tell it in a fight.
And do you think that you can train a fighter's vision to see those punches cleaner the way a baseball player sees that ball?
I don't think you can train it directly, but you can emulate it so much that it helps them get to that point quicker.
That it causes that to develop.
Exactly.
So
if you can try, like, I mean, that's one of the things we do. I can catch pad southpaw. I mean, when we fought Overeem, everything in the gym, I caught southpaw, and Overeem did a lot of switching, so we would do switching, and I wouldn't call anything out. It was on him to recognize, I went from southpaw to orthodox. I'm moving this way, I'm moving that way. And that was on him, and we practiced and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled. So that's, I mean, that's where that film work comes in. I'm also studying the other guy to act like him. I want to counter, not the way I would fight. I mean, I'm a very out front kind of fighter. That's not the way you know, Junior's punches are a little wide. But frankly, I'm a little crisper. So I have to be a little wider when I come with his stuff.
With Overeem, did you notice that he moved, as you watch tape, that he moves to southpaw and literally offers his head out there? And
but it's a toy.
Yeah, it's a toy, and it's also, to lesser guys, there's this sort of rudimentary understanding that my big weapon is my straight right hand and my right kick from there, but because he's kind of purposefully offering it, I know he's trying to trap me, therefore I don't throw my right hand or my right kick, and all of a sudden, by just putting his head there, I have nothing if I'm too low level a fighter. You picked up on that right away?
I mean, I'll tell you what, that was a dangerous, dangerous man.
Yeah.
That was a tough fight to prep for. There was a lot of things you needed to prep for. I mean, he was a tough opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things Stipe talked about is building his legacy, and that was a big piece of it. Honestly, I don't think people give him Stipe enough credit for that win. I mean, he is a tough son of a bitch. High
level, like mentally, physically, technically, and he was outsmarting the guys before that. And that's what we figured with Stipe. You weren't going to necessarily be able to use these, heavy-handed invitations like that had. So you guys prepared for that specifically. So now Junior, when you watch him move, he's pretty rooted in fundamentals, and they're not perfect fundamentals by any means. Nobody's are, but he's rooted in fundamental concepts. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And if I'm on paper, if I'm going to beat somebody fairly complicated, then I would consider Stipe a fairly complicated fighter. We might try to do it with fundamentals, right? So, in a way, who's ever prepared properly in this fight, which, on paper, again, no fights take place there, but the complicated guy can make the fundamentals guy seem a step behind.
Exactly.
But the fundamentals guy might find the way to get to the complicated guy. How do you keep this guy a step behind?
Different stuff. I mean, they've spent 25 minutes in the cage together, so frankly, they know more than anything we could ever pretend to know because they were in there doing it with each other. So we want to make sure, there's a lot of things that we saw on that film from the two films that we keyed on for this fight was their last one, and Junior's last fight against Ben Rothwell. So we tried to show Stipe, the changes we'd like him to make, and we worked on those. And then we tried to show him the changes that Junior has made over that time frame, and again, emulated him, showed it to him, showed him how to react to him, showed him how to prevent some of the things that maybe Rothwell wasn't as successful with, and then try to show him the entry points to end this fight early. I mean, that's what we want. We want this fight to be over early.
Yeah, cool.
He doesn't want 25 minutes.
Yeah, but he'll do it.
He'll do it.
He'll do it.
We don't need it.
No, we don't need it. So, does Stipe realize how much better he is than he was 6 months ago, and how much better he does?
Yeah,
that's important, I think.
I mean, one of the fun things is we've done 5 rounds of training for the last 4 or 5 fights, and he's really only fought 5 rounds total.
Right.
Because he's been getting rid of these guys early. So a lot of people haven't even seen the stuff that we've been working on that he can do. I mean, one of these times, fight's going to go a little longer than a round, and you guys are going to get to see some fun stuff that he's been doing. He's really becoming, boxing's always kind of been the base for him. And then wrestling, from his wrestling background, but it's continuing to grow.
Yeah. Man, I'm a big fan of your work, and it's really good hanging with you,
much.
man.
Yeah, great time.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Alex Cooper, we'll do this again.
Thanks, guys.